Hello and welcome to Talk of the Boat. I'm your host, Robert Yazbek with Team Yazbek at Coldwell Banker here in Steamboat Springs. Joined today by our buyer specialist, Cole Helberg.
Hello.
Thanks, Cole, for being here.
Of course.
Cole with no boot, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Show him your foot.
Welcome back to 2 feet, Cole.
2 shoes, Cole.
2 shoes,
no
Cole.
boot.
Yeah, no boot. It was a long road, but I'm happy to be back.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Welcome back. All right, so market report for August 2022. Want to start with some context. Nationally, home prices were up 6.9% last month compared to August 2021. Number of homes sold, however, was down 18.4%. And the national 30-year fixed rate mortgage, according to Bank Rate, this week's about 6.35%, up from 6.12% last week, mainly because the Fed raised their rate again, 0.75% this past week. And just for context, that's up about 2.5 points year over year. So,
Gotcha.
to the local market.
To the local market. Here we go.
83 homes were sold in the Steamboat Springs market last month, down from 108 August of 2021, down 23%. What are your thoughts on that?
Not surprised. We're definitely not surprised about that one. There's a lot of things going on in the world and with interest rates. I just don't think, I don't think buyers are as excited as they were last year. I mean, it's obvious. 83 homes as opposed to 108. And those are homes that closed in August, but they went under contract, the previous 30, 60, or 90 days.
Right.
So I'm definitely not surprised about that one, for sure. So on the other side of that, listings in August of this year compared to last year is only 77 as opposed to 140 last year, down 45%. Thoughts on that?
Yes, that I am surprised about. I really keep thinking that more sellers are going to want to list their homes at these record high prices to cash out or move up or down or whatever. So I'm amazed that 45% less people listed their house last month as the previous August.
Right.
Kind of blows me away, but it is what it is. And that's not happening everywhere else in the country, by the way. A lot of places inventory is skyrocketing, right? And everybody is flooding the market. So not a lot of new builds here is a part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm still surprised that existing homeowners aren't taking advantage of the equity personally.
Right.
84 homes pending last month, down 34% from the previous August.
Yeah. So 127 last year. That was, I think, just in 1 month. That's just because of the frenzy.
Right.
Frenzy was in full swing. I think we've hit the wall with the frenzy, and that is over. 84 homes in August went under contract, so that means 84 buyers were out there, and just over the amount of listings, right? So new listings was 77, and only 84 went pending. That's down 34% from last year. That's huge. Also not surprising though. I think buyers are hanging back, seeing what's going to happen with interest rates, and unless they actually have to buy something, I think they're just going to, park and wait for a little bit. So
sure,
definitely not surprised. Active inventory, 186 homes are active, down 12% from last year at 211 last year's August. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, I mean, that's total inventory, slightly down, but still down. It seemed like inventory was as low as it could possibly go this time last year, right? So for it to be down another 12% is shocking to me. I mean, blows me away.
I think though, and I don't know, you might have felt differently. The reason inventory felt so low last year was because it was moving so quickly.
Everything was selling so fast.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the data. 127 pending in August of last year, and 212 were listed or were active. But that's because things were just flying off the shelf. You had a day on the market, and then another one would come up in the same complex or the same neighborhood that fast. So it seemed like it was a lot more inventory, but it was just moving a lot quicker.
Sure.
Right. So that's why for me, that's why it just felt really low,
Mhm.
even though there was a lot.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of
Right?
properties were hitting the market and going off the market at the same time.
Yeah,
Not nearly as many properties going off the market, but also not as many properties hitting the market. So
Right.
the supply and demand hasn't changed much.
right,
Still a great time to be a seller. Not a lot of inventory out there. Still
Right.
record low inventory environment.
right.
All right, so days on market. Last month, days on market was down 40% from the previous August, down to 25 average days on market from 42 previous August.
I'm definitely surprised on that, just because um, it it feels like things are sitting a lot longer than they did last year. But what we looked at last year, there was a lot of stuff that sat for a long time and then finally sold.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the average days on market. So if something sat for 100 days and something sat for a day, the math adds up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all those ones from last year ended up selling because there was nothing, because the frenzy was so high,
Right.
right? So now things are sitting a little bit longer, even though the average days are smaller. I think all that old inventory is long since gone, and all this is newer inventory just sitting a little bit longer. If that
Sure.
adds
Yeah,
up.
and this is average days on market for the
sold,
solds,
right?
right? So
Not a rolling average. It's sold in
the
August.
month of August,
In the
right.
month of August.
So all the properties
Right.
that hit the market and didn't sell in the month of August are not in that number.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's the other key there.
Yep. So here's some fun, interesting news. Average sales price currently last month in August is 1.27, up from 1.105 last August.
Right.
Huge, up 16%.
Yeah, up 16%
What's that telling you?
year over year. Not a surprise at all to me.
Not at
Supply
all.
and demand is still, in full effect.
agree.
Inventory is still really low, and there's plenty of buyers out there. Plenty of people that discovered Steamboat in the last couple of years. There's a ton of reasons to buy in Steamboat. They're dumping almost $1 billion
Yeah.
into the ski area, right? We're one of the flagship resorts of Altera and the Icon Pass. So a lot of demand still, and
Right.
not a lot of new inventory. So supply and demand makes perfect sense that prices would continue going up. And I was in the business here, in 2008,
Right.
at the Great Recession, and even though that was a serious housing, crisis, right, which this is not, prices still continued to go up for 12 months after we were deep into the recession.
Right.
Right. So I see prices continuing to go up, I think, well through this recession.
Yeah.
And the rate of appreciation will slow for
Yep.
sure. It may even flatten out, but I seriously doubt we're actually going to see any depreciation.
Right. And
overall.
what I think is going to happen is, with the rates going up, everybody was on this, 3.5%. I got a great rate for so long, and now it's over 6, right? So then once the rates normalize again, I think the frenzy is going to be on again.
Right.
So then we're going to go up again.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
that's my, loose prediction.
I agree. So what are your biggest takeaways from last August?
My biggest takeaway from last August is,
Or last month, excuse me.
oh yeah, excuse me, yeah, last month. So there are still buyers out there. They are, if they need to buy, but I think my biggest takeaway is that rates are scaring some people off right now.
Sure.
So, how about you? What's your August takeaway?
I think it's a great time to be a seller still, right? Inventory is still really low. So if you've had any thoughts of selling, even if you don't know where to go, we can help you with that, right? So great time to sell. And I think, the buyers are amazed as we are that inventory is not picking up, right?
Yep.
So prices are still going up. Demand is still decent, and supply is still crazy low.
Agreed.
So good time to sell. And I think sellers are nervous because there's so many fewer buyers out there.
Yep.
That it's a good time to find a deal as a buyer too.
Absolutely.
Because some sellers are willing to bargain, and nobody was willing to bargain a year ago.
Yep. Absolutely. So looking ahead for me, working with buyers, definitely keep your eye out on the inventory that's sat a little bit. And what we've been seeing is that sellers aren't necessarily holding out for full price, which is good as a buyer. You don't have to pay top dollar or get into a bidding war. You might
Right.
not have to do that unless something's priced really, really well.
Mhm.
You might see multiple offers on it. But right now, I think it's a great time to buy if you're comfortable with the rate that you can get.
Mhm.
Some buyers, again, like we said earlier, are holding off because the rates are so high. But if you're comfortable right now with the rate you can get, then we've been saying this: marry the house and date the rate.
Mhm.
So that means, refinance once rates normalize again, and if you get a higher rate now, it can hopefully only get better for you,
Right.
right? And then another thing we've been doing is we've been asking sellers to buy down your rate.
Right.
So if you're not super comfortable, but it's really close, as we were saying, sellers aren't necessarily holding out full price. You give them a really compelling offer, but then ask for them to participate and help you buy down your rate. You might be more comfortable. So
It's a great strategy.
Yep.
Working really well. So really don't be afraid of the rate.
Don't
right?
be afraid of the rate.
Because we can potentially get it,
Yep.
bought down for you.
Yep.
And you can refinance once rates come down in the future.
So
Perfect.
looking
So,
ahead for sellers.
yeah, looking ahead for sellers, I think it's more important than ever to have your property looking really good and priced right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that 25 average days on market down from 42 are the properties that are selling. And we're seeing that within our inventory as well. Properties that we're bringing to the market right now are either selling fairly quickly, with 1 to 3 offers and pretty close to asking price, or they're sitting for quite a while and,
Right.
Weeks, months, and beyond. So it's really important, I think, to price right. And it's kind of normal real estate again, where you've got to consider, that you're gonna have to show your property maybe 20, 30 times even before it sells. So be
Right.
prepared for cleaning up and preparing the home
Yep.
for a showing
Yep.
more
Keeping your house
frequently
pristine.
than you had to,
Yeah.
last year. But really good time to be a seller because there's still no inventory and there's
Yep.
plenty of demand.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, good deal. Any other thoughts?
No, I think we're still cranking, and
Mhm.
inventory's gonna make itself available when it does. And if you're a buyer, good time to buy. Seller, still a great time to sell.
No question.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for being here, buddy.
Absolutely. Good to be back.
Thank you so much for your time. We will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Talk of the Boat. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe on whatever platform you're viewing, like, and share with somebody else you think might enjoy it. We'd really appreciate that. Also, if you have any real estate related questions that you'd like us to answer on the air, please send those to us by email, text, or direct message. And as always, if you have any real estate questions or needs that we can help you with, please reach out. Thank you.